Good evening, everyone. I see that there's 13 already watching our captivating 30-second lead-in video. Glad you all got to see that. For everybody else that's joining late, glad to have you here. We're going to kick it off a little slowly. We've got 21 watching right now, and believe it or not, we've got 60 anglers registered for tomorrow's tournament so far. Uh, so we're going to give everyone a couple more seconds to get in here so they don't miss any of the live action. Don't want to force them to watch the replay. I'm going to check again. Yep, we're sitting at 60 anglers and have had people. I'm sure we may have a couple more get added. We've had some added right up until the past few minutes. So that's good. We're starting strong with the first real tournament this year, and uh, see lots of people saying hello and hey, and so it begins. And uh, got 7 people from the camping spot watching, so I'm assuming that's Wiggs and Jason Dickerson and Brent Barnes and more. So glad you guys have got signal out there. And Alex wishes you well and hopes all you campy boys stay warm. At least it's not going to get. The last time I looked, it wasn't supposed to get too cold tonight, but I did get a freeze warning on my Alexa, so that confused me a little bit. Um, yep, somebody's asking Cam to pray for safety for all the anglers and their families. So that's actually a good segue. So hey Cam, how you doing, man?
How's it going, brother?
I'm doing good. Good. Glad to have you here tonight. I'm excited about a new season of CCKF, and
Yeah, me too.
uh,
Hopefully, everybody can hear me okay.
I can hear you good. So hopefully they can as well. For those of you that are new to CCKF, Cam volunteers to be our. Oh geez, why is it just? It was in my mind, right? The word escapes me. Our chaplain. For the year. So you'll see Cam posting on the Facebook page. Is there anything that he can um, pray for you about? Cam also has his own podcast, Faith and Fishing podcast. So I encourage all of you guys to follow the podcast and check it out. It's good. Doesn't matter if I don't think it matters if you're a Christian or not. There's good content there, and that we'd ask you to go ahead and watch it. My might be controversial in this day or time. My attitude is if someone's a Christian and they believe, probably the best thing they can do for you is to pray. Um, that being said, it's because it's a heartfelt thing, and too many people. I know people that claim not to believe, who in times of need, um, for themselves or for others, will bring up the word pray. Um, and I've heard them, I've seen them change when things get desperate in their own lives. I've seen them change, and I've seen them reach out and say, "God help me," in different things. And there's even a atheist. Uh, was it Penn? I believe it was either Penn or Teller, one of the two. Penn was. Uh, they did a magic show one night. He said, as occurs many times after a magic show, um, him being an outspoken atheist, someone walked up to him and handed him a Bible, but um, that person had written in the Bible, and it touched him a little bit. And he said, if you believe in something that strongly, if you personally have a conviction in something that strongly, you have to share it, right? If you have to, if you believe that much, if you believe that the things in the Bible are true, and that the things in the, that you're dealing with someone's eternal soul, and you don't share it, how can you really be a Christian? So I've always thought about that, and when people say that they're going to, I see lots of people on Facebook say, "I'm going to keep you in prayers." So the one thing I do is just know that personally, if I ever say that, I've already done it before I say it. So anyway, Cam, if you'll if you want to go ahead and say the prayer for tonight and offer any words that you may have.
Yeah, for sure. Mainly just wanted to let anyone who's new, or anybody who does not know, just kind of give you an idea of what it is that I do with CCKF. Um, I'm not near as involved as Mitch is. Really, what I do is I'm here for you. If you need somebody to pray for you or pray with you, if you need just to vent to somebody about something that's going on in your life, um, uh, whatever it is, you reach out to me. My number is public on the Facebook group. I need to post it again, for anyone who's new, just so that it's visible again. But yeah, I'm here to love on you, and I'm here to um, uh, just be here for you mainly. Before every tournament, I do go over the roster, pray for each angler by name, and just um, a lot of that kind of stuff behind the scenes. Um, and so we'll find some way to, if I'm not able to join the meetings, um, I'm going to do what I can to do some sort of prayer with y'all. But yeah, so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pray for us now. Um, so uh, yeah, God, we are so thankful for the opportunity that you give us to get out on the water and go chase these green fish. So thankful that we get to spend all this time in your creation and just spend that time closer to you. Um, God, I pray in this tournament tomorrow, above all else, I want to pray that each individual angler is 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 brought home safely to their families at the end of the day. And I pray that you you make the fish hungry and aggressive, and you keep the weather exactly what we want it to be. I pray that you put on a show tomorrow in some way, shape, or form, whether that be through nature, whether that be um, through anglers, whether that be through conversation on the water, or however you deem fit. You're a lot smarter than me, so I'm not going to tell you what to do. But yeah, just wanted uh, to lift up every angler who is going to be out there, and whatever it is that they're going back home to. I pray that tomorrow, while they're out on the water, you give them peace, give them strength, give them hope, and just bless them however it is that they need to be blessed. So all this we ask in Jesus' name, Amen. All right, so I'm going to turn it back over to Mitch now.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. And yeah, definitely. With that said, we want everyone to really be safe tomorrow. Um, uh, I don't know if you've seen it. We're on Falls Lake, but even on Jordan Lake in the past 2 weeks, maybe even a shorter period of time than that, there was a young boy, I believe he was 15, that was on a jet ski. The jet ski broke down. His buddy went back to the ramp to get a rope to tie him to bring him back to the ramp. And in that time, when he got back to where he was, he found the jet ski, he found his life vest, but the kid lost his life. And then just heard that tonight at Farrington Point, that was at Farrington Point at Jordan. Again tonight at Farrington Point, there was a capsized boat, and don't know if it was fishermen or pleasure boaters, but there was a capsized boat and a person was killed. So we definitely don't want that at a CCKF event. We don't want it no matter when you're out on the water. So we have the rule: wear your life vest at all times. If you need to add clothing, take off clothing, you can take your life vest off, but put your life vest right back on. And let's be safe out there. Um, make sure other kayakers, make sure somebody knows where you are. If you're going to a super secret site to launch, and maybe the other kayakers don't know, make sure your family knows. Make sure someone knows, and also be sure to check in on Tourney X tomorrow and check out. Not only for your safety, but you do get 100 points if you're registered for AOI. You get 100 points in the event just for showing up. Um, so we take safety very important enough that that we pray for you. So, hey Cam, I appreciate it very much, man. I'm gonna take you off the screen here.
All right.
Thanks, man. With that said, we've got a lot of new people in the tournaments this year, so I do want to just touch on some rules. One, I'm sorry you see me turning my head. I'm presenting from another screen. So one thing I do want you to see in the rules, and let me see if I can present this a little larger. See how that looks. So to let some of you know, there is no membership to fish a tournament with CCKF. Our tournaments are open for anybody that wants to fish and can follow the rules. You do have to have access to Tourney X. One thing I will suggest is before any tournament you fish with Tourney X, the night before, delete the app and reinstall it. The auto updates don't always go out for the app, push through, the App Store or Google Play. So one good thing to do with Tourney X is just uninstall it and reinstall it, and you'll be sure that you have the latest app and the latest features. So with that said, we're not going to talk about monthly tournaments tonight, other than I did decide I would show this, and I'll come back to the rules. It's weird the way I have to do this. I'm used to work presentations and I can just switch what screen that I'm showing. And on here, you can't necessarily do that. I have to drop off and bring it back on. So here, I was just going to take a quick moment to show our March monthly tournament, just to give these guys some props on one of the live streams. As you can see, March has been a good month for fishing. A lot of these fish were turned in during the warm streak we had. So I think it remains to be seen. What are they going to do tomorrow? We've had a little bit of a cold front this past week. We've got rain blowing through tonight. So I think tomorrow is going to be a bit of a question as to what it's going to be like. But the guys in the monthly have done well. So I know some of them are going to be here tomorrow as well. So hopefully those guys that are down a little bit lower, hopefully they can make up some ground on Jeremy Hicks. And I'm going to assume you pronounce that gentleman's name Deo Lee. Angler of the Year, I want to touch on that for some of the new people. So we did say there is no membership to fish in CCKF. However, there is a membership required for AOI and also for the North Carolina BASS Kayak Championship qualification. So Angler of the Year is a $35 fee. It must be paid prior to accumulating any points. So if someone's fishing the tournament tomorrow and does really well, they can't come after the tournament and say, oh yeah, I want to sign up for AOI. You have to sign up for AOI before you fish and get points. In our AOI race for Angler of the Year, your two lowest events will automatically be dropped from your points. So that means if we have 7 events scheduled, which I think we actually have 8, you'll only count 5 or 6. So 5 out of 7, 6 out of 8. Like I mentioned a few minutes ago, 100 points will be awarded to anyone who attends the event. We verify attendance by you checking in on Tourney X. Now, There can be an exception if you if you forget to check in and you submit a fish, then yes, I know you're there, but I need you to check in and I need you to check out. It's a safety thing, as well as getting your minimum points there. You can see our point structure starts at 300, and then it just drops 2 points for every finishing place after that. Your place for points is determined by your real placement in the tournament. So you're not compared just against other AOIs. If an AOI, if a non-AOI person wins and an AOI person gets second, the AOI person gets 298 points. And then if the next two places are non-AOI people, so third and fourth, and then an AOI gets fifth, then you get fifth place points, which I believe would be 292 for fifth place. So just wanting to make sure everyone is clear on that. If you are interested in signing up for AOI before tomorrow morning, if you go to our website, which is centralcarolinakayakfishing.com, and you can click on the AOI button at the top, and it takes it just a second to update here. The first thing you'll see is there's a Pay Now button that exists in a couple different places on this page. So you can click on that. It'll take you to a basically to a PayPal page where you can go ahead and pay your AOI fees. Once you pay that, it immediately notifies me, and you're now eligible to accumulate points. It also does tell you some of the AOI things here, same things that are in the rules. This one actually is correct and says that it's the top 6 out of the top 8 for AOI. And then if you go down, you can see who all is entered in AOI so far. I do urge you, if you have signed up for AOI, to go check this page and make sure your name is showing. I do miss one from time to time. So just make sure your name is showing so that you'll start accumulating the points. And I also want to touch on the NCBASS qualification. There are no drops in that. So to qualify for NCBASS, you do have to be registered for AOI. You have to be a paid member. But at the end of the season, all 8 events, the top 10 or the top 30% of who have registered qualify for NCBASS. At beginning of the week, we had 30 people signed up for AOI. And so that would have been, either 9 or 10, according to how we do the math, that qualify for BASS. As of tonight, we have 39 or 40. In fact, I can scroll down here and tell you 38. I'm sorry. So we have 38 right now that are signed up. So if you want to get in on that before tomorrow, just go to the page, click that, and you can be a part of it. I'm going to run back to the rules real quick so we can keep running down. You can use an approved measuring device, and we'll get to that in the rules. I was just trying to think of something while we were waiting. Here is that's the 2022 BASS qualification. I need to update that for 2023. So I'll get that updated. Of course, you've got to follow all the state laws. Like I said, and you have to have your PFD on all the time. You have to have a light visible if you're launching before sunup, and if you're going to be out after dusk. Of course, that's not an issue. Pre-fishing is allowed. We're too late for that, but just knowing for future events, you have to stop fishing by sundown on the day prior to the event. So, I mean, in all honesty, that's almost like no cutoff. Just don't be fishing after dark. The minimum length of a fish is 10 inches. Any fish shorter than 10 inches will be denied. And if you incur a penalty that brings your fish below 10 inches, then that fish doesn't count. So if you have a 10-inch fish and you incur a 5-inch penalty, you will not get the 9.5 inches. After penalties, the net length of the fish must be 10 inches. Photo submissions. We are a photo submission tournament, so your photo is one of the most important things you can do to submit a fish. So one, make sure it's clear, in focus. Make sure we can see the delineation lines on your board clearly. I think sometimes I can see them better than you in judging, because I have the luxury most of the time when judging to see it on a PC screen or an iPad screen as opposed to just on a cell phone. but make sure that I can see it. That's your responsibility to make sure that I can see it. Of course, photos must be first generation. You must your identifier must be available. In the monthly tournament, I allowed a few people to write the identifier on their hand instead of actually having the ID card. But for these tournaments, you have to have the ID card. If you don't know where to get an ID card, you can go on the Facebook group, go to the Files tab, and you can get a single identifier or a full page of identifiers. You can also click on the link at the top of the web page. It says CCKF identifier, and on that page, there's a link to download a PDF as well. If you're using a hog trough, you can use a hog trough or a catch board, plastic or metal. If you are using a hog trough, it's to your advantage to take a Sharpie and mark all the delineation lines so that we can see them more clearly. A hog trough by definition is not printed. So it's just if it's a yellow hog trough, it's got yellow lines. You can take a Sharpie and just run on those lines and make them darker to see. Again, the identifier must be present in the picture. And the identifier is now available in Tourney X, and I'll show you the identifier in a few minutes as well. And the full code must be clearly visible in the picture. The fish's mouth must be closed with the fish facing to the left. So you want the rail, the bump of your board to the left. You want the fish with the mouth to the left, with his top fin facing up, bottom fin facing down, and tail to the right. You want to make sure that you're not covering any part of the mouth or the tail. And you want to make sure that the mouth is fully closed. A deduction of 5 inches is taken for an open mouth. And we had to make that rule very black and white. We used to say that it could be opened up to a 1/4 inch. But when you're judging these pictures, how do you know what a 1/4 inch is based on how far away the phone is? So we just had to make it black and white. The mouth is either open or closed. And no grip or gap can be in the mouth. So, no external device can be in the mouth of the fish when you submit the picture. It is a 5 fish limit. Again, 10 inch minimum, any species of bass. The fish must be caught during tournament time. So you'll see when you submit the photo, we see the time it was submitted. We see a picture on the map of where it was submitted. So do everything you can to either be in the parking lot of a boat ramp or be on the water when you submit your fish. It's always questionable when we see fish submitted. They might be in the right time, but the location on the picture sometimes shows as a neighborhood. So just do everything you can to avoid that. If you've checked in, then we knew you were on the water, but you just want to make things as easy as possible for the judges. Fish, if you catch 2 fish that were in 1/2 inch of each other, we need to be able to tell that that's 2 different fish. So that final judgment is up to the tournament director and the judge. So just be aware of that. You can go here and read these rules. I'm not going to read every one of them. The entire fish must be in the picture. It cannot be cut off. We have to be able to see what the measurement of the board is at that point where the end of the tail is at the end of the board. If the fish is not touching the bump on the board, and the tail is, and if the whole fish is not touching the board, no, Andy, it's not a 5 inch penalty. It's a 0.5 inch penalty. So it's a 1/2 inch penalty. And if I said 5, I'm sorry. But I believe on the, unless there's a typo, I believe the thing says the same. The writing on the rules. Here's a picture of how to touch your fish. Sounds a little weird. But don't cover, no part of the mouth can be covered and no part of the tail can be covered. And your hand cannot be under the gill plate. So just be sure to refer to this picture. If there's a tie, the total length tie, the judgment will go to the person with the next biggest fish, the second biggest fish. We talk about tackle, only artificial lures, eligible waters. is an important one. So at Falls Lake tomorrow, on our event, we do list a list of boat ramps. You are not limited to launch at those ramps. What that is, that we just list some of the state ramps that are available. On Highway 98, for example, there's a section of old road that you can walk down. It's about 300 yards down a hill. There's a couple other roadside launches. Those are all eligible launches. Basically, if it's publicly accessible, it's legal. If you have to cross any private land, it's not legal. So, but you can see the rule here. You can launch from creeks and rivers that feed into Falls Lake as long as you can paddle through those waters all the way to the lake. You can't have any obstructions that keep you there unless they are a temporary obstruction, such as a log jam or something like that. But they can't be a concrete barrier. It can't be a fence. So the best thing is to do is just don't do anything questionable and make us have to question whether you did something legal or illegal. We get into boats. The intent is for kayaks. We've had a lot of people argue if they could bring their 10-foot John boat because it has places for oarlocks on the side, but that's rowing and not paddling. So we say it's primarily a paddle vessel, so a kayak. Just make sure you understand the rules if you're new with us. The next thing I want to show is I'm going to go ahead and not show, but the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and go through the times and everything for tomorrow. Sorry for that. So you can launch your kayak at 7 a.m. We ask that you can be on the water prior to 7, but we ask that you stay within 50 feet of your launch. Other people will report you if they seem to think you're getting an advantage by being away from the ramp. We've experienced that. Those are tough to judge. It's one guy's word against another. Just make sure you follow the rules. So launch at 7, and you can first cast is 7:15. Lines in at 7:15 a.m. Lines out at 3 o'clock. And we ask that you have all your pictures submitted by 3:30. As I said, that your camera has a timestamp. So your pictures must be time-stamped prior to 3. Your picture must be taken prior to 3. But in the case, if you don't have cell signal, you've got a 30-minute buffer from lines out to get your picture submitted. It's your responsibility. If you're in an area that has bad cell service, I've left a tournament. I've got off the water, an hour before upload cutoff before, just to make sure that I could get to a space that I had cell signal to submit my pictures. So they've got to be submitted by 3:30, and they have to be timestamped before 3. There's a weigh-in at 4 p.m. tomorrow at Upper Barton Creek boat ramp. It'll be in the gravel parking lot at the top. Funny story. I got a email from North Carolina Parks and Rec, North Carolina State Department of Parks and Recreation yesterday, asking if I was having a tournament on Falls Lake tomorrow. And so I called them instead of emailing them back, and I said, yes, I am. And they said, well, do you have a permit? And we talked through it. So the reason we do the weigh-in at Upper Barton Creek, that's a North Carolina Wildlife Resource Commission ramp. It is not subject to North Carolina Parks and Rec rules. If you do a weigh-in at a North Carolina Parks and Rec ramp, the permit to have the weigh-in is a minimum of $75 and goes much higher depending on the number of boats that you register. The North Carolina Wildlife Resource Commission at their ramps, they have informed me that their permits are free, but even so, because we're not physically bringing fish out of the water and up into the parking lot, I don't need a permit to have a weigh-in in their parking lot. And I confirmed that again yesterday with Parks and Rec. and they said we were all good. But the whole reason they found out about us, I guess, some people had been calling Parks and Rec about getting campsites and had been mentioning uh, the tournament tomorrow, and they knew nothing about it. So it was at least good that now they know we're having the tournament. The next thing I want to do is go ahead and share with you the identifier for tomorrow. And on your tournament tag, there are 4 white boxes. You only need to enter the identifier one time. You can enter it in any of the 4 boxes. The identifier is set up so that if you're fishing the monthly tournament and an in-person tournament, you can enter both codes concurrently. If you want to enter the code in all 4 boxes just to make sure we see it, there's nothing wrong with that. But legally, it only has to appear one time on the tag. If you still have last year's tag, yes, you can still use that. We have most of the same sponsors. A couple did drop off for one reason or another. But this is the 2023 tag that shows our current sponsors. I just want to go ahead and take a minute to thank the sponsors, Carolina Paddle Sports, for being our title sponsor again for 2023. They help us cover expenses such as some of the software stuff that we pay for. I have to pay Lake McIntosh to open the gates early. That comes out of sponsorship money. And then anything that's left over from sponsorship money gets kicked into the AOI to up those payouts more than what you pay in. So definitely want to thank Carolina Paddle Sport Outfitters for their support. Want to thank Carolina Waters. I know a lot of guys that fish with us are on the Carolina Waters pro staff. And I know 2 of those 3 guys personally, have known them a long time. I actually played in a band with one of them and have talked about playing in a band with the other. So it's nice to, it was neat that we were involved in music together. And then several years later, hey, we're all in the fishing community together. So, and Brad and I used to fish some bass boat tournaments together. He used to be my co-angler. I want to thank the Pincushion Tattoo Studio. Robert Ebert is a great sponsor and gives out great prizes for those of you that are interested in ink or piercings. I'm assuming that the gift cards are $400 again this year. I've never gotten a tattoo, but I think you could probably get a pretty decent one for $400. Or if you're going for a full day session, that definitely helps with the cost of that full day session. If you're looking to get sleeves or a big piece on your back, so whatever it is, I definitely want to thank Robert for his support. I want to thank Yak Attack for their support. I think they do a great job of supporting just about everybody that has kayak tournaments. They've upped the dollar amount of most of the gift cards that will be given out this year, as well as I've got a box of goodies in here that I'm going to have it weigh in tomorrow. I still have Mark Carmody listed, his icon on here as Crappy Canoe. Most of you know Mark, and if you don't know Mark, you'll come to know Mark. Mark sponsors the wild card. So if you catch a fish tomorrow that's not a bass, put it on your board and take a picture of it. You don't have to submit it on Tourney X, but bring it to the weigh-in. Mark gives a prize to every non-bass species fish. Not every. I'm sorry. Mark gives a prize to the largest non-bass species fish at every tournament. So if you catch a bowfin tomorrow or you catch a big catfish, or even if you catch a crappie, you may not think it's big. Maybe nobody else caught something bigger than that. So take a picture and bring it in. I think tomorrow is a Kershaw brand knife that Mark is giving away. So definitely want to thank him for his sorry, I was reading something. It looked like we thought something was. I thought we had dropped off for a second based on the comment. I apologize. So definitely want to thank Mark for his support of our tour. Mark is also this year signed up in the Angler of the Year contest and is going to be giving everybody. It says he's going to give everybody a run for their money on the bass, not just the non-bass. Definitely want to thank Chick-fil-A at Town Ridge Square. One of our members, Michael Wiggs, is the general manager or director of operations at the Town Ridge Square Chick-fil-A. And he gets those gift cards for us every year to give out. And especially when you're at the Falls Lake tournament, I can just imagine out there on the water all day and fishing, leaving there and heading to the Chick-fil-A on Glenwood Avenue and getting a tray of chicken nuggets would probably hit the spot. And I know I've left there and just gone through the drive-through on the way back to Sanford just to get a sandwich or regular nuggets. So getting some for free would be really nice. But with that, definitely just want to thank again all of our sponsors. They enable me to do what I do in a better way. They enable me to give away prizes at the weigh-in, and they enable you to win something, even if you have the potential to win something, even if you don't have a good day of fishing. Typically with me, that's the only prize I expect to win at a tournament is I hope to get a door prize in the parking lot. So just trying to think if anybody has any questions, go ahead and post them up in the in the comments here, and I'll try to get to them really quickly. Rick Morris, I was not a rock star, but I did play one on TV once. So that's always fun. It's one of those dreams you have when you're younger, right? And I apologize for the lab back there licking her leg in the background. They love this couch. Both my dogs do. I'm just looking through the comments really quickly, trying to see if I missed any comments that require a question. Don't catch a dink and submit an open mouth picture. That's right. Yep. Yep. Looks like I'm pretty up to date on the comments. You missed the code. Sorry about that, William. So the identifier that we have has 4. You can print the identifier on the Facebook group under files, or you can go to the web page. There's a tab at the top that says CCKF identifier. You can print it from there. The one thing I didn't say earlier, if your printer's out of ink, print it in black and white. You're fine. If you have last year's identifier and you can't print a new one, go ahead and use last year's. But enter the code. You only have to enter the code in one of the 4 boxes. If you want to enter it in all 4 to be safe, you're more than welcome to. But all we require is that somewhere in one of these boxes you show the code. Again, I want all you guys to be safe. Bringing Cam back in here again. We definitely want you guys to be safe. Facebook user, yes, last year's 10 tag is good. If you notice, it's supposed to post when I say that I'm going to be live on StreamYard. That there's an extra step you have to do if you're coming in from Facebook for us to be able to see who you are in chat. Here's what we see if you don't follow those steps and register somehow. I just see it as Facebook user. So that's okay. You can be anonymous. You just can't fish anonymous. I have to know who submitted the fish. And just giving everybody a couple more minutes to ask a question if they need to. Most of you guys have fished with us before, so you know exactly what's going on. I don't know if this Facebook user is claiming to be Dave Hart, and because he's a new guy. I think I think somebody's probably cloning you, and a bunch of people are going to get friend requests from Dave Hart all of a sudden. I don't trust that it's really him. Hey, Mike, I'll have a couple of the hats just like Cam is wearing tomorrow. I think I've got 2 or 3, but I definitely have at least one that's still new and in the plastic. So I'll bring them to the weigh-in tomorrow, and if you want one, we can get you one. We'll probably place an order maybe after the second event for anybody that wants to order hats. We've typically ordered the orange ones like you see Cam wearing right now, and then we've done some that are white and gray, so not quite as loud. And then I've also got I had one made that was in the old woodland style camo on the front, and it looks pretty good. It's a white back camo front, so we'll look at doing that one again. And Barry, glad to see you're going to register, and glad to have every one of you guys out there. So with wrapping up, um, I'm going to say this, and I try to say this a lot. I appreciate every one of you guys um, that fish with us. Um, Seth, the weigh-in will be at Upper Barton Creek, and it'll be at 4 o'clock. It'll be in the upper gravel parking lot at Upper Barton Creek. But again, I'll just say I appreciate all you guys that fish with us. You guys are what make CCKF what it is. I do a little bit of background work. It's actually kind of rewarding to do this, to see guys having fun. Those who can do and those who can't teach or administer a fishing tour. So, it's fun to do. I appreciate all you guys. I appreciate, a lot of you guys tend to thank me, and your thanks is very appreciated as well. It gets a little frustrating. I get frustrated sometimes. I'm human, and I'm human, not humid. I don't know which one I just said. I've got my allergies. I didn't take an allergy pill this morning, and I can feel it. Um, but anyway, it's I'd say 98% of the time it's pretty rewarding, and only sometimes do I get a little frustrated. But when you're dealing with 75 individuals, you're going to get frustrated sometimes from time to time. It's just human nature, right? So all the funny comments coming in now, I just like you guys seeing. I'm sure you all are seeing it in comment, but I want to make them famous on the broadcast too. So with that, again, you guys be careful tomorrow. Cam, you have anything else you want to say or add, or?
No, just remember that I'm here for you. I'll post my phone number up on the group whenever I get off of here. But never never hesitate to reach out to me if you need somebody. So, if you need somebody to come pick up your bona fide all decked out and motor and stuff, I'm not your guy. I drive a Camry, so but but I'll help out any way I can.
That being said, if you guys are on the water, if you're in any kind of trouble, text me, message me. We had an incident at Sharon Harris one day. I was actually judging from home. A couple of anglers got way to the back of the lake. It was way too windy, and one of their motors went out. I jumped in the truck and drove 25 minutes to pick them up at one end of the lake and took them back to the boat ramp to get their truck so that they could go back and get their kayaks. And that's how safe we want you guys to be. If you can't make it, if you can't do something, don't risk it. We've got I can send a message out to all of the anglers if I need to, letting them know that somebody's in trouble. There might be another angler that can help you. I can post it on Facebook, or I can do it myself. The last thing I want to do is go to bed on a Saturday night knowing that something happened to one of our anglers in one of our tournaments. So, we're going to do everything we can do to prevent that. So with that said, stay safe tomorrow. Wear your life vest. Watch out for boats. There are a couple bass boat tournaments. I know there's at least one tomorrow going out of Upper Barton Ramp. I'll say this. All four kayak trails in North Carolina, I know do everything they can to schedule around bass boat tournaments, but it's become impossible. And the reality of it is people love to fish. People like to fish in tournaments, and just about every lake that you go to, if it's a large enough lake, is going to have a bass boat tournament that weekend. There's it's been suggested maybe we do it on Sundays, things like that, but we're stuck on Saturdays right now. And so we just say be careful and watch out for the boats. Make sure they can see you. If you don't have a flag on your kayak, it's a good idea. Make sure you've got a light if it's not bright outside, and just be safe. And like I said, reach out if you have any issues whatsoever. And you know, it's not just me. Evidently, Steve Perry offers free tows to broken native drive users. So we can reach out to Steve as well. With that, hope everybody has a good night. Hey, all you guys camping out there, it's going to start raining. Just because it's not raining, just because I thought it was going to be raining by this afternoon, it's coming. I looked at the radar. So you guys
It's already raining here.
And everybody be safe, and we will see you tomorrow. Thanks, Cam, for being a part.
Thank you for everything you do.
All right. Good night, everybody.